Rose, and I'm here with my wonderful, wonderful co-host, Gretchen Comer. And we're both coaches, healers, and a little more all around. And I want to welcome you to the Circle of Love and Light. This week, our focus, we have a long title. It's funny. Detaching from dramas, peoples, places, and emotions that are no longer serving you, which is really about cutting ties to things in the mass consciousness and in the consensus reality that are holding us down in that place. So it actually follows up really well on the one that we did last week. And I think it's been our focus for a few weeks now of just staying in that space above the fray, kind of, where we can actually be of service to ourselves and to others. So I'm looking forward to it. Anyhow, I talked with Gretchen yesterday, and we both were sensing kind of, or I guess it was, we were on Messenger, not on phone. It doesn't matter. Anyhow, both of us were kind of sensing the same thing. And the inspiration really was drawn from thoughts about releasing ties and which is basically limitations that have been projected on us by people like our birth families, teachers, authority figures in our lives, employers, people who have expectations that we have to be a certain way to be acceptable, and then we buy into them. So today we're going to have opportunities to release these needs that we have to living up with other people or living up to other people's expectations of us. And actually, so that we can open more to who we truly are and just the simplicity of being ourselves and really being able to realize our purpose here. So it's very exciting. We're going to be inviting in Archangel Michael and Ascended Master El Moria for a wonderful meditation. And we'll just see where it goes. It's always an experience. Let me just first also, I want to get my messenger thing up so I can see who's here with us. And I see we have Babs is here who says hello. Sharon Williamson and Nikki Wood are all here. And I am getting the comments today, by the way. Last week, somehow the comments weren't coming through. I don't know. It was it was some kind of a glitch, I guess. But we're all here, and that's the other part of this is the people who are here with us and who are also having their experiences along with us. So very exciting. Anyhow, before we begin, I do want to thank you for joining us. The Circle is here every week to light up our lives and help us to heal, grow, and stand up. Most importantly, as beacons of light for the world. I think we don't realize how helpful it is just for us to be embracing light and radiating light and love out to the world. I think many people feel, well, I'm not doing enough. If you're staying above the fray, which is what we're talking about today, and always in a certain way on the Circle, then you're doing a great service to humanity. So I want to thank you for being here. And I also want to just take a very brief moment for us all to center, just taking a few nice breaths, settling into this space together. Tend to come into whatever the next thing is with a lot of activity in our minds. So we can just allow our minds to relax a little as we shift into our awareness of our bodies and of the beautiful light that's all around us, inviting the beings of light who are supporting us to bless us with love and light. It always amazes me how good it feels, just a little moment of centering. So anyhow, I'm delighted to be here with you, Gretchen, and I'd like to ask you to start us out by sharing a bit about your feelings on this.
Right, about releasing those limitations, right? So this is interesting because Jane and I had some synchronicity yesterday. I was doing an oracle reading right around the time she messaged me, and I had chosen something very closely related to the topic, and that was about releasing those cords, cutting those energy cords that are kind of imposed on us, that we're programmed with, I think, throughout life. And it's an unlayering process, if that's even a word. I
Right.
feel
Yeah.
we're peeling away these layers constantly, and when we're intentionally seeking those limitations, I feel like we're moving through it. We're already part of the way there just by acknowledging them. And so for me, it's really important, because if I can take a step back and look at the larger picture of my life, and kind of discern where those things that are mine versus the things that are from other people.
Right.
And I think
Right.
that's, once you come into a certain stage in your life, I think that kind of starts coming in more frequently. And I've just noticed that as I continue to grow spiritually, that becomes more and more important to me, to let go of those limitations. And it's amazing how far reaching that energy can be, the energy of a limitation, how far reaching it really can be. And of course, I find ones that are all the way back to childhood. It seems like there would be a really long energy cord through time, almost tethering me to certain scenes or instances where maybe I took in misinformation or bad information. And I think that for me, I feel like I do a lot of work with my inner child because of that, because I feel like I did get a good deal of misinformation as a child, and those created limitations that I'm just now aware of. And I'm probably at that stage of my spiritual growth where I need to become more aware of it. But to know that you can do something about it is what's so compelling about this topic, and that we can heal from those limitations and we can cut those cords is really empowering. To me, it just
Right.
feels really empowering to know that we have the tools that are actually relatively simple to do this. So I'm excited about this topic today, because I feel like it's really relevant for today. It's really relevant for the holidays. We have to spend time with family. We may visit friends or extended family that we don't see, but maybe this time of year around the
Right.
holiday. That brings up a lot of stuff for a lot of people. And I mean, I have my own stuff, and it really does kind of bring out the dysfunction and the difficulty it is and challenges it is about being with family. And
Right.
one of the things that you were talking about before we got on the call was our family of light. And I think that's an important part of the topic too, is that we have this family of light, these light beings that are always around us and with us to help us and to help guide us. And they're fully accessible, and on some level maybe more accessible than our earth family. And
Certainly
so
in a deeper way.
right, exactly.
For most,
We may
not
want to spend
everyone.
more time with our light family too than maybe our earth family as well. But one of the things that you mentioned is, they're not static, they're changing. And we may have some that stay the same, but they're changing. And our family is static, so we have to kind of learn ways to deal with them on this earth plane. We have to ground some of that information we're receiving from our light family to help us in our relationships and to help us cut some of those limitations. And I think one of the really interesting things is that you don't have to be with that family member to cut that tie.
Right. Physically. Yeah.
Physically with them, right? So if
Right.
you have a very difficult relationship, or maybe that relationship is ended and the loved one has passed on, or the family member or friend has passed on, and that doesn't mean that we still can't do something about that energetic cord. So
Right.
that's what's so fascinating. It's a pretty broad topic, but I
Yeah.
love
It's a big.
today, right? I really love how we're
We're
approaching
going
it.
to do it today.
Yeah, we're gonna do all of it today. So
Yeah,
so
and that reminds me, one of my thoughts for people who are watching this is, while we're talking, you might want to just jot down what comes to your mind as being limitations that have been passed on to you, because a large part of a lot of this is just even being aware of it.
right.
It's like, what comes to my mind now is, in my family, communication was not good. And I had an older brother and a father who were both very, I guess they're very loud and very opinionated, and also both of them much larger than me. And I just couldn't express myself. So I became very quiet and shy and afraid of what might happen if I said something.
Right.
Because that was my experience. I just never knew when I would be attacked for what I had to say. But I don't have to be that way.
Right.
And
Right.
all of us have things like that. And if you think about it, you can logically realize, well, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And the nice thing also about inviting in these angels and masters is they can support us in actually clearing this energy more quickly than we would on our own. So we're going to be doing that together today. And I think regardless of how long we've been on the journey, probably all of us can benefit from it. I expect to, certainly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting to me.
Yeah.
Abs-
Yeah, it really is. And
Right.
another thing I think people might misunderstand about cutting cords or cutting ties with people is this does not mean that you're cutting off a relationship. In fact, if there are very limiting cords, in other words, cords that are keeping the relationship in fear, in a state of fear and anxiety and expectation, that's very that actually reduces the ability of the relationship to be effective. Whereas if you are able to step back from that and just be in a place of peace and be yourself in the relationship, sometimes relationships will change along with you. Not always, but it can't be worse than
Right.
if you're being like overpowered by somebody or abused verbally or in any other way by somebody. It just is not, it is not right on a higher level because it is not honoring the truth of who you are.
Right, right. And it doesn't have to perpetuate. It doesn't have to, this programming or these things we've experienced where we got the misinformation, it doesn't have to keep playing out. It's something that we can intentionally stop from playing out by cutting that cord. So we're not allowing it just to keep on because that's what's always been done.
Right.
That's the hardest part, I think, is to separate ourselves from almost like a tradition that we've created,
Right.
some of these limitations where this is how I always react in this situation because this is what I've always done. This is what I've always been done. And I think that's where we have to kind of break that. That's where you have to start breaking the cord. There is finding out where that place is, where not just where it started, but where we're continuing to allow it to play out over and over when we're faced with the same scene or same situation in our lives. And so,
Yeah,
yeah, and it gets
exactly.
polarized and it gets kind of messy, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's not benefiting anybody,
Definitely
right? Yeah,
messy.
it's not benefiting anyone, right? Exactly.
Yeah. I think another thing that Gretchen mentioned to me earlier, and I think she'd be fine with me mentioning it here too, that we all go through connecting with the angels and the masters is, can I really ask them to help me? Me, this little meager me. Well, that in itself, like, why is it that you don't deserve it? You know, it's always worthwhile to ask ourselves why we feel and believe that we're limited or unworthy or uh, inadequate or maybe unable to even sense them.
Right.
Because I think that if we believe we can't, we can shut the door ourselves.
Right.
In fact, we do. Whereas if we open to the truth, and the thing that's really crazy is they see us actually as masters, enlightened masters.
Right.
And I think they have a recognition that we're not fully aware of the truth of who we are, but each of us exists in all the dimensions, all the way back. We have a connection with God, right? We all say, well, we're one with God. We may say it more than we feel it even, but we are. We are those masters. And they see us and they admire us as
Right.
we admire them. So it puts us in I think it's almost, to me, hard to express how valuable it's been to me to connect with them more and more frequently, because you're exposed to energy that is so supportive of bringing out that enlightened being who is within you, so that you can bring, it's like masters walking the earth. There's that idea that the masters are going to walk the earth again. Well, maybe it's us.
Yeah, when I have connected with angels and asking this question, like why, help me understand where this comes from, why I don't feel worthy, and I felt like, and I felt like I got a, was in it with a room of angels that were kind of looking at each other, exchanging glances, like, well, this is you, this has nothing to do with us, and it was the message was clear. This is self-imposed. This is something that you, this is the construct you created. This is not reality. This is an illusion. And I think the angels are very good at helping kind of cut through the illusion too. They don't give you messages in riddles. They're not asking you to try to figure something out. They're very clear, and a lot of times I'm very visual. So a lot of times I will see scenes, and that actually, I think my guardian angels know that I work a lot through humor, and so that whole scene of them just kind of standing around looking at each other like, why are you asking us?
Yeah, listen to her.
Yeah. That's what I realized, like, oh, okay, this is all me, and this is what I took in as misinformation. And as a child, you believe everything adults tell you, or you believe what your parents tell you, and so you do instill a lot of that in you. And it is a little bit of deprogramming that you have to do when you get older. We all have those challenges in childhood. Nobody had a perfect childhood. And so, but I think I agree with what you said. Once you acknowledge these limitations, you're already on that path to working through it. That's what I think is so interesting. It's when we're not aware that we can't do anything about it. So just opening our awareness forward to it is amazing. And angels are very good at helping us kind of raise our awareness and raise our understanding of things. And they're there to help for that reason. So it's helped me a lot. And I think the more that, if you're somebody that wants to work with angels and you're somebody that doesn't feel worthy, for me, I felt that working with them more regularly, if not daily, maybe, several times a week, that actually has improved and helped remove some more of those limitations for me, to, I feel closer and I feel worthy of connecting with them. So that's helped.
Yeah. It is the opportunity that is here for us. And I think particularly at this time is, I was writing about it actually before we started today too. And I was thinking it, and I haven't come up with a clear way of expressing it, but it's almost like it transcends being transformational. What we call transformational. It's like we've used that term for all these years, and it just is. It's something that goes. To me, it goes beyond anything that I've experienced before.
Right. It's like it transcends our current understanding of what transformation is. Right. Yeah. And we have to transcend that belief, that line of thinking. Right. And I think that's part of it. It's constantly flexing and changing in this very beautiful way. And I think that's important. The more rigid and stuck we become with our beliefs, the more they become hindrances, and they're not helpful. As long as our beliefs we're open-hearted and we allow our beliefs to constantly flex, I think that's really a key in this, into connecting with that energy. Right.
Yeah. It is. All of this has, to say it's transcended my expectations is like, I'm saying it mildly. And there are very simple ways of doing it. We're going to do a process together today, and we can all have our own experience of it that will be magnificent for us. And everyone's going to have a different experience. Before we do that, I wanted to make one very important distinction that might help people. It's interesting. In our work, we work with clients a lot, and it's common for people to say, well, this is just the way I am, or this is just the way it is. And I think those are good phrases to look at because that may not be true. To say, well, I'm shy, this is just the way I am. Well, if you look at yourself, the real creative spirit in you, is that actually true, or is that a victim in you? I think to understand the transition that we're undergoing as being from victim to creator is helpful, because the victim thinks that we're subject to forces that are larger than us and we can't do anything about it.
Right.
The creator is not in any way impeded by anything.
Right.
Because it's more, it acknowledges who we really are.
Right. It's almost as if it's insinuating that we are unable to change. We can change. This is just the way I am. Well,
right.
What if there was another way?
Right. Yeah. What if it isn't?
Right.
What if you don't have to be? Well, for instance, what if you don't have to be shy? Say you're shy. Well, I don't know if I would have even considered that possible. But another part of this is that I think is really interesting is whatever it is that is our biggest kind of, this is just the way I am, or our biggest perceived limitation. Also, when we transcend it, it becomes our greatest strength. So for me now, being able to communicate and express myself is a strength. And I can understand that journey for other people who are undergoing the same thing, that I know what that's like. And I think we all have that to a degree, especially public speaking, say like this, where you're actually putting yourself out there in front of people and you think, well, gee, I'm not this or I'm not that. Well, you're just you.
Right.
You're the magnificent being who is you. And those expectations that we need to look a certain way or be a certain age, whatever those are all part of the consensus reality that are holding us down and preventing us from fully blooming.
Right. It's almost as if it's the rigid part of society that has this set standard of rules, that nothing can stray from these rules, and that's just not the way life is. Life needs to constantly flex and change, as we change. So
right. Yeah, exactly. So do you feel like you're ready for the process?
Sure.
Okay. We've been last week we allowed more time for the meditation, and we enjoyed it. We hope others did too. Unfortunately, we weren't able to communicate, as one of you mentioned here, that I don't know, somehow we weren't getting the messages, but so we're going to connect, as I mentioned. We're going to have another one too. I won't tell you who it is, so we'll just make it a surprise at the end. So we're going to start by just breathing in love and light, as we always do. Again, that it shifts us from all of the thoughts that are running through our heads into our bodies and into the present moment when we just breathe. And of course, bringing in that light and love, it bathes our cells in a higher vibration, which raises everything. So just breathing that in, love and light from the universe all around you as you inhale. And then as you exhale, imagine releasing anything you don't need now. Might be tension in your body. It might be thoughts or things that you don't need. Sometimes, in fact, right now I can see it's like I have all these tools and things that are dropping, all these weights that are that are dropping off of me. And that might be a good way to perceive it too. Just what is weighing you down? Anything that's weighing you down, just release it as you exhale. And of course, I always like to ask for any energy that is not your own. Just ask it to go back where it came from now with the power of your intention. As a creator, you're very powerful. Just sending any energy from other people and places back where that came from with love. And similarly, bringing back any parts of you that you've left in other times and other places back to yourself in this moment here now. And we do this so that we can feel more present again. It's only our energy around us, and Can be more in our bodies. Feels so good. And before we invite in these beautiful beings of light, I want also to just imagine breathing in even lighter energy now. And we're going to imagine becoming lighter so that we can gently float up. And we're going to go through the atmosphere, which would symbolically mean that we're going beyond up into the higher realms, beyond the limitations of our consensus reality of the mass consciousness, the herd of humanity. So just imagine rising through that atmosphere to a place where the light is brighter, where you have a beautiful view of the whole universe around you, all of the stars twinkling, just feeling that beautiful light. And it is in this place we want to meet the angels and the masters part way. They reach down to us, we reach up to them. And with pure intent for the best for everyone involved, we want to open to these beautiful beings. So we're going to invite in Archangel Michael and excuse me, Ascended Master Moria. Or Archangel Michael, if you're not familiar with him, he's an angel of immense love for humanity, and he's with us particularly in this time of the awakening to support us in opening to our inner power and strength, which are his focus, but strong, having clear boundaries, and also protecting us, feeling protected by the divine, keeping us safe. So we're going to invite him and El Moria, who you may not be as familiar with. He's one of the amazing ascended masters, again, who's supporting humanity at this time. And he's here to protect us on a spiritual level and to remove anything that is not serving our purpose here. So that would be those things, those ties that we're talking about, ties to the consensus reality that we have taken on through family, through authorities, through places, whatever it is, we're going to allow those to release more today. It's interesting because El Moria and Archangel Michael are also connected, which makes sense because they bring a very similar vibration, and they volunteer to work together to help people to release these ties or cords, you could say, to limiting perspectives, so we can strengthen our boundaries and hold our space to be more purely and strongly ourselves within our own space. So we want to invite them to join us now, Archangel Michael and Ascended Master El Moria. And I want to start by just asking them to bless us with an outpouring of beautiful electric blue energy, vibrant, the most beautiful color of blue you can imagine, surrounding yourself with this electric blue energy from them, and allowing yourself to sense them in whatever way you sense them. Again, you may focus mostly on feeling that energy. You may see the color. You may see their images. You may receive messages from them now or at any time during this process. Just allow yourself to have your own personal connection with them, because they can be here to connect with each of us personally. So just feeling that connection and perceiving them around you. Again, I feel so much love. And now we want to open to this experience of asking them to cut ties between us. So cutting ties between you and those items or things from your past that have caused you to stay limited in any way. your family, teachers, authorities, even friends who are conditional on us believing in a certain way or looking a certain way or acting a certain way. Our employers, our fellow employees. We surround ourselves with expectations. And this is our opportunity to ask Michael and El Moria together to help us to clear those ties. You may have something specific in mind, maybe just in general, asking them to kind of like I was seeing those tools, those metal things kind of dropping off of me. Just allowing them to support you in releasing any of these ties to really beliefs that you're limited because of your programming. I see them working together, which is interesting. And feel also from them gratitude that we would ask. Thanking us for being open. And I'm curious, Gretchen, if you would like to share anything about your perceptions.
Sure. What I'm seeing is there are a lot of energy ties that go out across the planet from people to people, and actually into timelines where, into the past and kind of more nebulous and not directly to people. But what I was noticing is when we started to set our intention, when you were helping us set our intention for releasing those ties, those cords to our past, I felt like those cords kind of became real taut, like they kind of distinguished themselves from other cords by becoming
Right.
really taut. So as this to show me this is where the cords are that you need to cut, and it just felt like a lot of cords kind of all spaghettied together. And I thought, well, that's interesting because I wonder if other people perceive it that way too. But it seems to me like I see Michael's sword, and I often see his sword kind of with blue flames on the sword.
Mm-hmm.
And he helps to, cut through that very decisively and um, but not divisively. It's like you said, we're not severing the ties with those people, just the unhealthy cords that we have that are not serving our highest good. And so
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I felt when I was visualizing Master Moria is him saying over and over, soften the resistance, just soften the resistance that you
Mm-hmm.
have to either letting these go. And sometimes our cords might bring a sense of safety because it's
Right.
normalcy, it's routine, it's what we're
Mm-hmm.
familiar and comfortable with. But there's no danger of losing like our sense of self or damaging relationship further by cutting these cords. So there's really no need to keep them. And I also see that as these cords became taut, they turned black. They were no longer vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
They were no
No
longer
longer
full
alive.
of energy,
Yeah.
right? They were kind of dying away like they should be. And so I think that's one of the beautiful energies I noticed with Michael, especially is I don't know Master Moria very, very well, but Michael, I do work with from time to time. And I find that it's just so decisive. It's like, okay, here we go. The sword is really sharp. So it just cuts through everything. And it helps kind of bring about clarity as well for me. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
just a beautiful connection.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really beautiful.
Sorry, I receive a lot sometimes.
No, that's beautiful. Very good.
Sorry about
Um, I wanted to mention also that what I perceive, something I had no expectation of that makes me feel even a little teary, the recognition with what I mentioned before about my father and brother being so loud and really overpowering. There was not a respect for women. And I think of my mother now, um, that she was kind of stuck in that same place that I was, where we actually were we were not in a place where we could freely be. And for all of us, we probably have a lot of women here now. Um, that's something we need to be aware of, that we need to claim our power as women. And I also wanted to mention, I perceive that Michael and Almaria come with, they have their own legions of angels who are helping helping with this process too, and removing, not just cutting the ties, but also removing all of the roots.
Mm.
So any space within us where they were attached, we can imagine clearing those spaces. And the next person we invite in, the next master, is going to help us to fill them with love, which you can imagine starting to do that now too. But just remember the magnificence of yourself as you do this, and sending, even if the cords are from someone who had evil intent, or through their own pain, uh, came from a place of fear and really repressive energies, that we can send those cords back to them with love. So we can be doing that now too. And just kind of clearing the air around us. Feels good to me.
It does.
And of
Absolutely.
course, this is something you can return to anytime, inviting Michael and El Moria to join. And I do see them working together. It's kind of like Michael is there with his sword and he's lopping them off, and El Moria is kind of doing some of the more fine tuning. That's the way I'm perceiving it, anyhow. But it's valuable to have them together, and they enjoy uh, being a team, I can see. So I want to thank them for being with us. And of course, as I mentioned, you can follow up on this um, in the future anytime. They're always available. And with that, what I want to do now is to invite Ascended Master Lady Nada to join us. And she's another one of the masters who's not as well known. Um, but her focus, she has a very simple focus on divine love, embracing love. So we can invite Lady Nada to join us and surround us with the most beautiful, loving pink energy, vibrant, might have some sparkles, just surrounding us with this beautiful, loving energy. And I see this kind of a pouring down of pink rose petals, which are also related to Lady Nada and related to the heart, the love that we hold in our hearts. And this is related to this topic also directly, in that our hearts shut down when we have to shut down ourselves. We place walls around our hearts, or barriers around our hearts, to protect them from these forces that are laying expectations on us. And as we empower ourselves, literally empower ourselves to hold our space and to be ourselves, we can open that space back up in our heart. So Lady Nada is here. We can fill all the spaces from the roots of those cords, just fill all those spaces that were opened up with that love and light. And also bless your heart with more love and light, and just allow any of those barriers that are there that you no longer need to melt away. And just notice how that feels, sending that love into all the cells of your body. They may seem small, but they really, all of them, yes, there are billions of them, but they all appreciate love. And it makes us feel more alive. you may feel more energy now. Gretchen, anything you'd like to share about this experience
Yes,
with Lady Nada?
I love Lady Nada. Her energy is just so beautiful. As soon as you were calling her in, I could feel immediately like this shower of pink rain, and it just
Mm.
switched over to all these petals falling from the sky, and it's just this beautiful kind of softening energy. It really is just it's like softening kind of the rougher edges of me and of us.
Mhm.
Like it's
Right.
um, she's gently shaping us into who we are meant to be, essentially. And
Mhm.
I feel like it's just beautiful energy to send that love into all of ourselves, and to know I immediately felt a sense of serenity and calm,
Mhm. Yeah.
um and just felt right, like a really nice lotion for the soul. Just trying to think metaphorically. It's just it's kind of a
Mhm.
strange, and hard to describe, but it feels to me it's like a very soft, almost kind of melting into that love, into that, which in turn has a beautiful energy to kind of melt away resistance and rigidity, and um, really letting it seep into all the places that need that love and attention right now.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the things I appreciate about her also is it is it is simple is kind of a difficult word, but it is just clear. It is all the complexity that we think of about what we need to be. It's kind of like it all just melts away into the truth that what we're seeking is divine love. And
Yes.
through that love, our truth emerges.
I feel
Emerges from our hearts.
I feel that. I feel it kind of her energy has a tendency for me to simplify everything and kind of
Mhm.
take away
Right.
all the illusion, to where I could just see things very clearly. And Michael's energy for me is a lot like that too. But I feel that there's something really beautiful in that, because it's almost like we overcomplicate things, or I
Mhm.
personally
Right.
overthink or overcomplicate things. And when Lady Nada's energy comes in, it just clarifies everything and makes everything very simple. To
Mhm.
instead of chaos, I'm looking down and all I see is like a single pink rose. Like, it's really that simple. It's just
Mhm.
that's underneath everything is love.
Right.
That's the love energy. It's still
Right.
there. And whether we can't touch on love all the time, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's still there, constantly flowing, available to us all the time.
Mhm.
There's something really beautiful and reassuring in that.
Mhm. And it really is energetically the way I perceive love at least is that it is the absence of any separation. So love is unity,
Yes.
unity with the divine and also in the highest sense with God, with our creator, with everything. Of course, that does, if you can get to that place, that does feel very simple. It simplifies things like this is all we want is unity. And from here, we can imagine really the thing that is so instrumental to what the circle is a world where everyone is coming from that place of love. I just opened my eyes. I see Sharon Williamson said, "Well, Lady Nada is busy here with her, I guess, kind of like filling the holes in Swiss cheese," which is great. All of that love. And that's the thing. If when we clear out that which is not us and fill those spaces with love, then what we have is us.
Right. I think we can acknowledge then that there's so much more light in us than there
Right.
was. There's more,
Mhm.
letting more light in. I think that's part of it too for me. Is I immediately, not only do I physically feel lighter, but I feel like there is more light within me that's
Mm-hmm.
been exposed, or
Mm-hmm.
the whatsoever has been dimming it has been cleared away. So
Right. Yeah. And as we do this is how we raise our frequency,
right.
just by gradually opening to more of that divine love and being in that space with these beautiful, beautiful beings. Feels so good. With that, I am going to bring us back. But to me, coming back is not about letting go of anything.
Right.
It's just grounding it. Actually, if we're talking about masters walking the earth and we want to volunteer, just bring ourselves, whatever the fullness of who we are in this moment, bring it down to earth to be part of the awakening. We can just imagine now, again, thanking Lady Nada and thanking Archangel Michael and El Moria and all of the other angels who have supported us during this process. We can just imagine drifting beautifully down back to earth and grounding ourselves to Mother Earth, sending her love. And every time I do that, I receive love back again from her too. And feel that I think after the beginning of the year, I'm thinking of a circle one, connecting with Mother Earth, and just that beautiful experience. That's the other side of love. It's above us, it's below us, it's all around us if we open to it. So just seeing yourself grounded to the earth, breathing in more active energy for your normal waking state. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. I could see doing this once a week just as a general kind of a clearing,
I could stay
clear
there
out
for
the house.
another hour. Yeah.
Right.
Hang out with the angels, with the ascended masters.
Right. Why not?
Oh,
Mm.
that's beautiful.
Mm. Yeah,
I
all
felt like
beautiful.
my mother passed in 2009, but I felt like my mother was there, and we're still working on some of our chords too. So I felt like my mother was present there, and Lady Nada helped a lot with that. So
Yeah, as I mentioned, my mother was there too. And here's the planet. Surrounding the planet with love. It is interesting. It is when it's it seems like the journey is simplicity through complexity in a way. It's like the goal is so simple, but the path feels complex sometimes. Although all we have to do is take one step at a time, so we can even simplify that.
right.
So Babs said, thanks. Thank you, Babs, for being with us. Yeah, that feels so good. I think like you did, like just peaceful.
I do. I feel very, very serene right now. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Well, we don't have much to say now.
right. Well, I feel lighter.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes I don't realize how heavy I feel until we do a process like that, a meditation like that. It just feels different now. I just feel different and lighter.
Yeah. Yeah. And we pick up energy all the time. And I think we're not necessarily aware of it. It
Sure.
might be impacting us in ways that we can't even fathom really as we're going through our daily lives. And we have to go through. Actually, I've thought recently that being a human being is a very complex thing. There are so many things you have to do starting in the morning. You brush your teeth, you have to get dressed, you have to make your bed, you have to make breakfast. There are all these, being human involves a lot of activities,
Right.
which
Right.
is interesting. I think sometimes if I was a dolphin, it might be easier.
Not so
Don't have
much,
to clean anything.
right? Not so much of the morning routine that you have to worry about.
Right.
Living in a body of water, you're always clean, right?
Right. Right, exactly.
Yeah. And then
Nikki says, and the rain is clearing as well, which is true.
nice.
Nikki is actually all Babs and Sharon and Nikki are all in California, probably have all been impacted by the storms overnight. It was very, very stormy.
We
So,
had some
yeah.
very cloudy days with rain the last couple days, and about the middle of the meditation, the sun came out here, so it's out here too.
Oh,
So
good.
we brought the
Yeah.
sun out, lovely.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, that feels complete to me. How about you?
Yes, it feels good. It feels good.
Speechless.
And on a high note, that's right.
Right. Well, where else can you go from there? I mean,
Exactly.
really.
Exactly. Oh.
Okay, so Gretchen, would you like to tell people how they can connect with you and if anything special is going on in your world?
Thank you. Yes, people can reach me at spiraljourney.net. That's my website, spiraljourney.net, and that's where you'll find the most comprehensive list of all my services. Right now, we've created some really fun packages for the holidays, so people can get gift certificates if they want any services, either if you're in Virginia or things that we do online. And people can
Just
also,
as a note, you probably can help people also with if they want to do any cord cutting.
that's true. I can help
Yeah,
you.
because if you feel like you need help,
Right.
both of us are
Absolutely.
available. Gretchen is
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Absolutely. And thank you for mentioning that. Yes.
Yeah.
And people can also connect with me on Facebook at Spiral Journey Holistic Life Services, or Gretchen Comer. It's kind of a mouthful. And I'm also Spiral Journey Gretchen on Instagram as well. And a fellow coach that Jane is also friends with, Lula Mora, and I do something every couple of weeks on Wednesday, which is free. And we do oracle readings, and we pick a topic usually that comes from the oracle reading and discuss it. So we'd love for you all to tune in if you want. We send ads out for that all the time. So just look for it on Facebook or Instagram.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you. And Bab said hi to Foxy. This is Foxy, our little girl. A loving girl. Well, I guess whatever. Now she's growling. I say loving and she growls. Leave it to them, huh? You go down. Go down if you're going to be that way. Go on. I think she's hearing something outside.
Heard something, yeah.
So for Awakenings Institute, we have created an angelic EFT gift set, which is we're going to be doing a live webinar. Actually, I think it's coming up this week for people who have purchased the gift set on how to do angelic EFT. And that's wonderful too, inviting the angels to join you in clearing. And there's a guidebook that people get, and a beautiful set of angel kind of reminder cards that you can put out with their names on them and some light around them. Just to remember during the day that they're here. Which reminds me, the cards, this is El Moria from, I had this sitting out because I was focusing on El Moria. And this is Kyle Gray's Keepers of the Light Oracle. You can also get oracles I'd put out cards of the ones that I'm connecting with in a given time to remind me. So there are so many wonderful ways to remind yourself. Actually, I mentioned the angelic EFT gift set last week, and I forgot to share the link, which is tinyurl.com/angelic EFT. And I can put that probably in the comments area too, but that's available. And of course, as Gretchen mentioned, we're all both of us are available for anyone who wants extra help with these things. You can find out more about the circle at circleofloveandlight.org. And you can support the circle by liking our page on Facebook, which is Awakenings Circle of Love and Light. You can share this video with your friends, and you can invite your friends to join you in the circle. So thank you for being with us. And the last thing we usually do is just send that love and light out into the coming week. Just all of that beautiful energy to lighten up your load over the week ahead. Have a wonderful week, and we'll be back. Yes, we will. Oh, next week we have something very special. We have our spiritual gift giving episode, and actually Sharon Williamson is going to be with us, I think, and Babs and Gretchen and some other people, Ruth Anderson and Terry from Enlightened World Network and Philip. And so there are a bunch of us, and we're going to share spiritual gifts with
Lovely.
everybody who joins us. So hope you can join us then, and have a wonderful week.